Today's podcast is brought to you by Tetra Hearing. Tetra Hearing isn't just hearing protection, it's hearing perfection. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Save It for the Blind podcast. This is Carson speaking, and I got Jeff, my normal co-host, next to me. This podcast may sound exactly the same as all of our other podcasts, but it is far from it. If you were to watch on our YouTube, Cal Waterfowl YouTube, we are actually at our Grizzly Ranch property in the Suisun Marsh in what we call the Big House, where we host events. And Jeff, you want to talk about why we're here right now and not in our office?
Yeah, so we are at our very last event for the summer. It's part of our Camp Sprig program where youth participants come out, ranges 10 to 16, learn all about hunter education, firearm safety, banding ducks, fishing, waterfowl ID, duck calling, all that good stuff. We have a very packed program itinerary. It's Friday through Sunday, and we're at the very last weekend of the summer.
Yeah.
And after this, man, we're wrapping up and getting ready for duck season already. So we're out here filming some stuff. We figured, hey, let's do a podcast on site. Let's
see how it goes.
Yeah, let's talk to some volunteers, employees of ours. Also bring a dad and a participant up here, a youth kid, and just talk to them about the event, how it's going,
experiences.
Yeah. Nervousness prior to coming, how they found the event, what their favorite part is so far. So yeah, we're just kind of walking through that and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, so we'll be bringing up guests throughout this podcast, so we might have some pauses in between where we're going to be radioing down. The kids aren't running free right now. We do have other staff that are out there. They're actually fishing for striped bass out in the slough. So we'll be radioing down, getting people to come up here and leave. So you might hear different voices every once in a while. We'll introduce you to our guests, and we'll kind of go from there. But like Jeff said, this is our last camp of the summer. We are in our second day of camp. So the kids show up Friday afternoon. Today is Saturday, full day, and then tomorrow they're going to take their hunter ed test. So we just finished up with our shooting stations. Kids are going out striper fishing, and then they're going to get a little time for a break here. So if we want to reach out to whoever's down there and get our first guest headed up, we can start with him. But how has this camp gone compared to previous camps?
Oh, it's interesting. We talk all the time. Every weekend is completely different in terms of attitudes, what kids are interested in. One week, kids might be really into computers and video games, and the next weekend, it seems like everyone's into baseball or football. So it's just kind of funny of how it breaks down that way. But
this is also the first all-boys camp we've had in a long time.
It is in a while, so we have 15 young men here. But knock on wood, pretty engaged group.
They're smart.
Yeah, they're smart. Everyone's capable of holding the gun safely. Very engaged in class, which always makes it fun as an instructor. I think a lot of kids are trying to get that 100% on the test. It seemed like they're really studying, and I know when they went to bed last night, there's a bunch of kids going over the review questions and things. So as an instructor, just as a hunter, I just think that's really cool to kind of see these kids kind of come through the ranks in the program and want to become a hunter. There's a couple kids here that come from non-hunting backgrounds.
Yeah, never shot a firearm before today.
Yeah, and no one in their family owns a gun, and basically found hunting TV shows on YouTube and like, hey, what's that? And their parents are, they're lucky their parents are able to say, go follow your passions, we're behind you, even though they have nothing about hunting or fishing or the outdoors, and trust us with their kids for the weekend. Of course, we're all certified and all of that and been doing it for a very long time. So we think that everyone about that. But I think that's probably the coolest thing for me as an instructor is to meet these kids that come from non-hunting backgrounds, literally saw hunting or a fishing show on TV, YouTube, etc., and it just sparked their interest. And they're going through the course now, and they're just so into it, asking you a ton of questions. You're like, oh, I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah, definitely.
To me, that makes it. So I'm excited. I think tomorrow when we take the test, I think everyone's going to do really well. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think my favorite part, and we've seen it a few times now because you've been around the block for a while, and I've been around the block for a while, is we're actually seeing kids that are now working for CWA in banding tech positions, hunt program positions that attended these camps when they were 10, 11, 12 years old. And to see that kid get his hunting license here, see him come back to the hunt program, hunt with us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's working for us. It's like the biggest full circle moment you can have.
Yeah, to think of it. So you hunted here as a kid at Grizzly
I hunted
Ranch.
here at Grizzly Ranch as a kid. Yep.
Jason Koslovich hunted here as a kid.
Yep.
Garrett Gracie and a couple of our banding techs have hunted here and got their hunter ed here. So there's probably more of our younger employees that came through programs that CWA had and now are working for us in their college years or post-college years.
I think it'll continue to be that way too, because our programs are expanding. The kids that come through our camps seem to have, I mean, Andres, for one, last camp, what do you want to be? I want to work for you when I'm older. Like,
yeah,
that's so cool to me. And,
I think so, yeah.
And if it happens, great, but like...
Well, just to be out in the field, to want to go be in wildlife, because, you know, some people don't even know that's a field, but it can be tricky to get into. You're moving around a lot. You're taking a lot of temp jobs. But to be 13 and be like, I want to be a biologist is pretty awesome. Yeah,
I think I just heard our door open and close. Mark should be coming up here soon, up the stairs. Mark, is that you?
Hey.
There he is. So Mark just entered the room. He's going to sit on the couch over there behind Mr. Eli. Doesn't matter which microphone he sits behind. Either or. Key to this is just speaking into the microphone. Eli will get you all good on that side. Do they catch anything out there yet?
Not yet. A lot of Thules.
You like
to eat Thules. How many recipes for Thules do you have?
Yeah, a couple wind knots and some snags.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
lots of retying.
The proficiency of retying swim baits by the end of summer is astounding.
Everybody gets good at it. If you got to know how to do one thing well, that's the thing you should know.
Yeah, definitely. So, Mark, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself. And what's interesting for you is a lot of our volunteers we've had, I would say, prior history with, but you actually reached out to us and offered to volunteer. And we have that happen every once in a while. Like I said, most of the volunteers that we do have come out have either attended a camp or know somebody, someone. You have a little bit of a connection with CWA and previous stuff, but I'll let you kind of explain your history with CWA and then how you reached out. And we'll kind of go into your background about being a hunter instructor and go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, actually, I think probably the background is key to why I did reach out to you guys. So
start wherever you like.
So I'm an adult onset hunter and an adult onset hunter educator as well. After hunting for a few years myself, when I started in my 30s, I recognized that a lot of folks out there weren't doing half the stuff that we were trained to do in our hunter safety class. And I saw a lot of bad behavior. And I figured, if you're not part of the problem, that doesn't mean you're part of the solution when it comes to safe hunting. So I decided that I did want to be part of the solution, not just be safe out there myself, because it really does take a community to be safe when you're hunting.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless you're going to be the only guy who's hunting in the state.
Not likely.
Yeah, which is unlikely. You really need to make sure that the people you're with, and I say with air quotes, because there are going to be people out there on that land with you that you don't know, you've never met, you're probably never going to meet, but you want them to be as safe as you are.
Yeah.
And so I figured one of the ways that I could do that was to start doing hunter education myself, as an instructor. And so I also recognized that there was, kind of a need for people who had the experience of being adult onset hunters as well, teaching other people who are adult onset hunters.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things, and you'll dive more into your story, but I think you may be one of the first people that I've found that is a hunter instructor and isn't doing it because, one, it's their job, two, they're retired and have nothing to do. You're doing it because of experience of wanting to teach people the right way after adult onset, which is huge. We just don't see that in the hunter ed community a ton. Like I said, most of the folks are either game wardens or like me and Jeff, it's our job to do it, or they're older retired men and women who want to give back, which is great. But they don't have that experience that you have where you started later and now we're giving back. And I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I think a big part of that too, as well, is that You know, if you grow up hunting with your dad or your mom or, uncle, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're kind of enculturated into that little bit of culture. When you're an adult onset hunter, you miss out on that culture. You kind of have to go find it yourself. And you realize that what you get, your culture of hunting is going to be what you're taught from a hunter ed class, what you're taught at a camp like this, what you're taught when you go out with friends. And so you're going to have to learn it on your own to a certain extent as an adult. And I think for those adult onset hunters, that's why hunter education was so important. And that's kind of what I got into. And also for me, now I think it's interesting, the idea that we have to build a culture, and that culture can't just be parents handing down how to hunt to children. It has to be a culture that involves more of us and all of us, because adults are sometimes left out. If you don't start hunting as a kid, you can feel a little left out, but there are other groups that feel left out too. And if we don't kind of embrace them, we're never going to get them hunting. And that's also a big thing. We got to get them hunting in the quote unquote right way, and that's the safe way and the ethical way. So.
What was the one thing that sparked your interest in hunting and made you go out on the hunter's path?
Truth be told, I grew up as a real city kid.
Okay.
And, I always loved the outdoors. And then I never really realized until once again as an adult how important hunters were to things like wetland conservation, for instance. I didn't know that. I just assumed, we shouldn't hunt and the wetlands will take care of themselves. And then I realized, wetlands would all be gone probably if there weren't duck hunters, for instance. Another thing that got me into it is the hunting of non-native species and the hunting. So, for instance, I had a friend who was a ranger down at Pinnacles National Monument at the time, now National Park, and we were down there, and she's like, that we're desperately trying to get rid of pigs out here because of all the damage that they do.
Right.
And, we pay a ranger basically a full-time salary to try to eradicate pigs. And I thought, well, I'd do that for free.
That sounds like a great time.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like some good eating. Sounds like a good excuse to be out and about in California. So that's really why I got into it, was because I did come at it from this idea that it was habitat protection, habitat conservation, things like that. And I really started to realize, if you'd asked me, as a teenager, what I thought about hunting, I would have been mildly anti-hunting. I would have said, I don't love it, but it's legal. Do what you want. And then if you'd asked me that 15 years later, I'm very positive towards hunting, mostly because I started to see exactly the good it was doing, especially in California to conserve land.
Yeah,
that's kind of, in a nutshell, the hunter success story of California you just described, like how you find it, what the reason for, I don't want to go out and slaughter every animal. It's like, the reasons are the correct way. What age was that when you started hunting?
I think it was 33.
Okay.
33, 34. So in my, and it was something that I think I also wanted to experience the outdoors in a different way. As a hiker and a backpacker, I enjoyed it. But, as a hiker and backpacker, what does that mean? You're often stuck on trails. You're not really looking at the environment the same way. Especially as a backpacker, I feel like a big culture of that is getting from point A to point B, sometimes as fast as possible these days. What I like about hunting is it forces you to slow down, forces you to read the land, it forces you to think about what animals are on the land when they were there. So you're involved. I feel like I'm involved in California much more deeply as a hunter than I ever was as a hiker or a backpacker. I also find I go to places that I would have never gone. And why? Because you're looking for good hunting opportunities. So I've seen so much more of the state because I'm like, you know what? I'm mostly a public land hunter. I have to admit, which means I go home hungry a lot. But it also means that I'm always, now Google Earth is like my best friend, doing a little digital scouting of places that I never knew existed. So it's funny. I feel like my home state is a much more interesting, exciting, even magical place now that I hunt. I would have never discovered that if I hadn't gotten into hunting.
I feel the same way. It's like my wife will want to go for a hike, and I'm just like, God, a hike is just walking around with no purpose. I need something, not to pursue, but just something to get me going. Like you say, it's point A, point B. You get there, you go. I need something. That extra.
And I think the thing about that extra too is, at least this is how it was for me, and why also another reason why I got into hunter education is you want to share that something extra with other people, because you feel like you as a human have no idea what you're missing. It's like you are just walking around out there aimlessly or just trying to get from one campsite to another.
Yeah.
You're missing, 90% of what's really going on in the natural world, I feel like.
I know
you
you've
really want
taken,
that.
or you've certified a lot of people for their hunting license. Have you been able to mentor folks yet on like first hunt kind of stuff?
It's really tough. I think the mentoring is much harder than I thought it was going to be. It's difficult to make it efficient. It's very much a one-on-one experience, maybe one-on-two experience. You need to find, especially I think this is hard when you're doing it with an adult, but you need to find time in both your busy schedule, their busy schedule. You need to put them in a place where they're going to, kind of get bit by that bug, where they're, especially if you're on public land, sometimes you're not even going to see the animal that you're trying to hunt, and you've got to, it's tough because you've got to sometimes you have to temper their expectations as well.
Oh yeah.
They're like, okay, so we're going to shoot, how many deer are we going to shoot this season? Yeah. Well, you're going to maybe have a shot at 2. I don't know. Good luck with that, So it's been interesting, but it's also been difficult. I think the other thing is really, you're doing it on kind of a friend basis,
Yeah, you have to in a sense. And we find it, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. In our position, I want to help out as many people as possible. But as it being my job, and even as a hunter ed instructor, like you're taking that next step to volunteer your time away from your own hunting to teach somebody else. And like when it's your job to take other people out, I almost feel guilty that I don't do it in my free time because I feel like I should. But at the same time, I need to reserve some of the hunting for myself so I can pursue my passion. So it's a weird checks and balances of like, okay, I know I'm getting these kids out here. We do plenty of camps where I get to see that light bulb go off. They experience their first sunrise in the duck blind. They shot their first duck. It's go from there. But, every once in a while I'm out there and it's like, I wonder if I should have helped somebody out. And it's an internal struggle I deal with.
But you might take out at someone that doesn't hunt very often or hunts a couple times a year. It might not be that first person's experience, but you take people out, other than people that hunt religiously.
Yeah.
I think that's important though too, because we always talk about this recruitment, but I think that that's an important retention effort, because we talk about how do we retain the hunters that we've got already. Yeah. And sometimes the way that you retain the hunters you've got is take somebody who hasn't hunted in a couple of years, take them out with you that one time. It's like, and these are people who may know exactly what to do. They certainly don't need your quote unquote mentoring directly, but sometimes they just need somebody to reach out and say, remember how much fun this was? Let's go do it. Let's go do it again.
Give them a little kick in the pants.
An invite,
that
right?
just keeps them. That just keeps them in the game. That little bit.
Yeah, we see a lot of people. They hunted and they moved to California and they're like, oh, there's no access, this or that. And you find somebody that's just like, hey, we can go out 15 minutes from the house, and it may not be lights out, but the opportunity is there. It's like, oh, really? And it kind of it gets that ball rolling for the folks, the reactivate folks that already have their hunting license. They've done it before, and then hopefully they turn to the retain and they're then passing it on. So, different ways to get folks involved or re-involved is out there. We just have to find the best way to do it.
Yeah. What do you see? I mean, you live in San Francisco. That's where your classes are. I mean, in terms of age bracket, you're more the adult onset hunter.
I'd say most, when I talk to other people who do hunter education, and not, specifically targeted hunter education, nothing like this, the camps, they'll usually be about 80% kids and 20% adults. I tend to be the opposite, about 80% adults and 20% kids. Okay. And the adults tend to vary. I mean, just the San Francisco Bay Area itself, it's got so many different types of people who live there. I'll get people who, they're really interested in that field to fork experience.
We see that a decent amount.
They've got recipes in mind already. So they've cooked that animal and eaten it before they even have a chance to shoot it. They don't have their license yet, but they know 50 ways to cook a duck. Then I think there are people who, they're more like they've got a friend. Maybe they've hunted in another state, or they've got a friend who said, hey, I've got a hunting trip. They maybe hunted once or twice as kids, that kind of thing. And they're like, I've got to go and I've got to get my my hunter ed cert again, they'll show up. And so they're really doing it for that one hunt, or maybe, those couple hunts. Then, we'll get people who, my understanding is to be able to buy a firearm if you have a green card. You need to have a hunting license is one way that you're allowed to do that.
I didn't know that.
And so this is what I've been told from students, because I'm like, it's interesting. I always start with like, well, I try to tailor the class to what the people are going to go after. So it's like, well, what are you thinking about? What's your quarry of choice? And some of them are like, my quarry of choice, I just want to be able to buy an AR. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that. They're like, yeah, so I'm not a citizen, but I'd like to be able to, I own a lot of guns back in Italy or something like that. And they'll say, yeah, so this is one of the ways that I'm able to buy a gun here in the United States.
Wow.
So that's what I've been told.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
That's super interesting. I had no clue about that. I wonder if
so
anybody's come through some of our classes that have done that.
It's so fascinating too, but I always tell them, I say, look, I know that you're basically just interested in passing this test and you may never go hunting, but one, I'm going to try to spark something in you anyway. I got you here. I'm going to see if I can get you interested in going out hunting anyway. And the other thing I always tell them is it's an opportunity for me to talk a little bit about the North American model, which is going to be different from wherever they're from. A lot of them are from Europe, some are from the Middle East and things like that. It's like, this is a totally different model from what you're used to. And we talk a little bit about Pittman Robertson. I say, whether you like it or not, if you want to go out and buy those guns, go out and buy ammo, you're going to be contributing to wildlife and habitat restoration and things like that.
Yep.
And it's interesting to watch them realize that too, because in their mind, it's the two things are totally separate. And of course I say, well, in the United States, our system is they're not separate. So thank you. Thank you for coming and taking this. I'm glad you're buying some firearms. I'm looking forward to that excise tax money.
Yeah. No, that's a great way. I think honestly that'd be kind of refreshing for me to do that, because 99% of the stuff we do is with kids. And, unfortunately, every once in a while you see a kid that honestly probably doesn't have the want to do it and their parents kind of force them into it. But those older age classes, like those people are taking time out of their day, money out of their pocket to go do that class, and they have intention at the end of it.
They're eager students. You never have anybody. Occasionally, you have a significant other who's like, I got dragged in. Or it's like, my girlfriend's making me take this, my boyfriend's making me take this, that kind of thing. But oftentimes, you've got people who are really, really interested. I guess my frustration is I see those people because I really do have a lot of people in my classes who are very interested in taking the next step, but it's frustrating because they don't really know the step after that. It's like even and some of the things, let's say sighting in a rifle. Sighting in a rifle can be difficult in a place like the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Where do you go to do it? Even something that's just a very basic and an important step for being an ethical hunter, obviously, and it's difficult for them. I'll tell you another thing. That here's the real shocker for me. I don't own a car. I've lived in cities my entire life. I don't own a car, and so I always say, whatever barrier you've got, trust me, I'm aware of the
that's a pretty big barrier
transportation. It's like there's a way to get over all of them.
Wow, that's impressive.
And so exactly. Let's put it this way: I definitely make sure I put down plastic in the backseat of the rental car.
That's awfully impressive. So, obviously, you're sitting here with us at a Cal Waterfowl camp. How did you find us? Because, like I said, at the beginning of this, you reached out to us. We didn't reach out to you.
I did. Well, Cal Waterfowl obviously has a pretty good reputation. Truth be told, the way I found out about you guys is the hunt opportunities that you have for everybody, right? So if you're looking, especially if you're usually a public land hunter and you're looking for an easy way to get some quality hunts, Cal Waterfowl is one of those organizations that you know about. Think about the SHARE program. Think about those. So that's how I mostly knew about you guys. And, quite frankly, too, you have a great reputation for education. And hunter education is changing. The pandemic has been, it's a watershed moment for hunter education. Most of the education is going online. Yeah. I still have a big belief in face-to-face hunter education. I think that there's something really important there, not only about passing on, the safety, because I do have to say, and we'll see that the numbers over the next several years will answer this for us, but I do have to say that I do think that you're probably a safer hunter if you have some sort of hands-on, face-to-face component to your training.
I agree.
Many people now, since the pandemic, do not have that. I think that we need to find ways to make sure that they get it. I just honestly believe that you're going to be safer. I think a huge part of how we hunt too is based on ethics. And ethics are they're rarely transferred through books. They're transferred through other people, whether you watch their actions and they're educating you by modeling safe, responsible, ethical actions, whether it's an older authority figure who's telling you, this is the way I've always hunted, this is the way you should too. I think that really comes through in a face-to-face way. And so quite frankly, when I was thinking, how can I continue as an effective hunter educator? How can I pass that on? I'm going to have to find a model where people are still interested in doing it face to face. And quite frankly, Cal Waterfowl has that model.
Yeah.
So a big part is for me to come here and learn from you guys about how we make sure that people are still taking what we call the traditional class, this face-to-face class, because I think it's got a lot to offer, not just for kids, but for those adult onset hunters too, who might not have people who can model for them, who can teach for them face to face, and make meaningful contributions on them becoming not just a safe hunter but also an ethical hunter.
Yeah, no, that was very well put, and we appreciate you reaching out because, myself, Jeff, our other worker, we're hunter ed certified, so we can teach the test, but having folks, from different areas and different teaching backgrounds come in and help us out helps these kids so they're not staring at our faces the whole time and it's one point of view. Like, we have another hunter ed instructor that was here 2 weeks before. You're coming in this time, and just providing that new point of view. One of the other hunter ed instructors that came here, he taught one of the chapters, and me and Jeff looked at each other and was like, that dude taught that chapter way better than we've ever taught it. And we took stuff from his teaching.
Learned some stuff.
And learned it and put it into our teaching. Like, if we can learn from other hunter ed instructors, by all means, if you're a hunter ed instructor listening to this and you want to help us next summer at our camps, reach out. We love to have you. We pass off chapters to try to even it out, and it helps the kids. Like you said, it helps everybody.
And it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
So I'll endorse that too. So it's a good time.
Yeah. We teach the kids hunter ed. They get to go out and shoot archery, shotguns, rifles, and it's a full encompassing camp that we provide, and it gives them that hunter ed with the hands-on that hopefully by the end of this, 1, they're licensed in hunter ed, and 2, they're safe in firearm handling when they go home. They don't miss that step. They don't take it at home with their parent over their shoulder and, hey, now you have your hunting license, here we go. And there was no handling in between. Like, we want to keep this rolling.
And one thing that I've taken out of this experience with you guys so far is also it generates a lot of excitement, among the kids too, because they're, as we were saying, every once in a while you'll get kids who are in class kind of because they have to be, because their parents want them to do it or something. They're not always totally thrilled about it. But I have to say that when you have a kid shoot some clays, all of a sudden they're pretty excited about the entire experience. They might not want to sit for that hunter education lecture. They've got to, but I find that get them on a rifle range, put a shotgun in their hand, and start breaking clays. All of a sudden, that's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down, isn't it?
No, it really is. I mean, we were standing over kids just an hour ago at the rifle range. They shoot in the target. I hit it. And it's like, good job, hit another one. I hit it again. You can see that kind of, not even a light bulb, but the excitement starting to build. And it's like, oh, okay, we're putting all the pieces together that we just talked about.
And that's something that you can't get online too.
Correct.
I think that's so important is, it's, I think with look, I'm in my late 40s now, right? And so I grew up with video games. So we've got now 3 generations of hunters who played video games, right? And I think it's important because there is you can play as many hunting video games as you want. It's never going to be the same, So even if you're kind of jaded, as a kid who plays a lot of video games, you get out there and you're actually handling a real firearm. You're out there and you're actually tracking or something like that. So much different, so different, so much better. And I think that's where this comes into with the excitement. It generates a level of excitement that I don't think I've ever seen, with that you can't get in the living room, no matter how big your TV screen is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but going through the online hunter ed with no live fire, right? We have a lot of kids today was their first time shooting it.
One whole group, it was their first time.
Yeah, but it's funny because they're like all kind of timid, and everyone's scared of the kick because they've probably seen a terrible video where someone shoots a shotgun, drops it, whatever it may be. And then they shoot the 410 and they're like, look back to the group. It's not that bad, guys. You can't even feel it. And then everyone's like, oh, it's not bad? Okay. And then they start shooting clays and they're busting clays and cheering each other on. But I just think that's the
and that's
best
huge
part.
too, because I'll tell you my experience. So I didn't grow up with firearms. So my experience was I went down to Big Five. I bought the cheapest scoped Savage 30-06 I could find because I wasn't sure that I was gonna want to do this. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. Fortunately there was an advanced, I'm making air quotes too here, with an advanced hunter education class that was a marksmanship class. It was in the Central Valley. It was about 115 degrees. We're out there laying on the ground. I've never sighted in a rifle before. So my entire knowledge of sighting in a rifle has come from the internet.
Yeah.
I'm laying down there. We're sighting in our rifles. The guy next to me, he's also an adult onset hunter. He scopes himself. And there's blood coming from his forehead. If that wasn't going to stop me, I suppose nothing will, But it's interesting. I think that's, we talk about some of the, some of the barriers that we have to like really wanting to continue doing this. And I think the thing that you were talking about is the kids are doing this in a safe, supportive environment where they really can get excited about it, as opposed to somebody who's, I've never shot a rifle before. Now the guy next to me scopes himself. Do I really want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
And here, you've got a situation where this is fun, this is safe, this is interesting. I'm with a bunch of other people who like doing it. And I'm with a bunch of adults who are going to make me feel safe, but they're also excited to be here too, And so I know that we can get a little, caught up in passing on the tradition kind of thing. And sometimes I wonder what that means. But I do have to say, when you've got adults and kids together, the adults are pretty happy to be there. The kids are pretty happy to be there. It's a safe environment where everybody's excited. That's what passing on the tradition means to me. It doesn't matter whether you're successful in the field or not or anything like that. So.
Right. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. No. Jeff, do you have anything else for Mark before we get our camp
I did have
dad?
one. It's not necessarily hunter related, but how difficult was it for you to find like a place to teach your class, or did you do it at your house, or what was your...
Impossible. Really, really difficult in San Francisco. In fact, that's one of the things that we are working on. I have to say, I do want to give a shout out to Department of Fish and Wildlife and the hunter education portion of Department of Fish and Wildlife, because they have been really understanding about how hard it is to find places to teach in San Francisco in particular, but in the Bay Area in general. And there are a few places there are still rod and gun clubs in the greater Bay Area. In the 7 by 7 miles of San Francisco, the peninsula itself, very, very difficult. Now, once upon a time, there was a place called the Pacific Rod and Gun Club. It was in the San Francisco city limits. It was a great place to shoot skeet and shoot trap, and it was also a great place to teach hunter ed. That is no longer with us. We're coming up on 8-9 years since that place has unfortunately had to close. And so it is kind of a big borrow and steal. I have to admit, I've made a lot of calls to different government agencies, local places saying, I'd really like to teach hunter ed. And you can almost hear the click. Click. Bye-bye. It's been fun talking to you. Yeah. I've had people, without naming names, I've had people who've from city agencies who have said to me, I'm a hunter too. I remember when I was a kid, I took this in high school, and I support you, but my boss won't, and their boss won't, and their boss certainly won't. So I don't want you to waste your time. Yeah. Don't make any more calls to this department. I've been somewhat successful with community rooms, city-run community rooms, because those are for everybody. The thing about those being for everybody, though, is if you want to do a face-to-face traditional hunter education class, you need about 8 to 10 hours. And it's hard to get 10 hours in a community room because there's so many other competitions. Another thing, obviously, is you let people know that you're going to be bringing firearms. That's going to be the end of that
Yeah.
too. So it has been difficult. I have done classes in my home, not my ideal. But yeah, police stations, they'll often have a room where I
Okay.
can do stuff. And just generally, if a lot of it is personal connections too, if you know somebody who's got a haul, and
life,
maybe you went to
man.
high school with them or
Yeah.
something like that, you're going to exploit that. So it's kind of a teach wherever you can, which is too bad because I like it. I would like it to be an institution. You know, I think it's one of the reasons why I do this is I think it's really important for urban people to have an opportunity to do this. I'm not saying they have to, but to have an opportunity to get your hunting license, to have an opportunity to go out in the field. And for that, then that opportunity should be affordable and easy to access. And that's difficult in the San Francisco of today, but we continue to work on it.
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, we've
on the
got
fight.
we've got plenty of listeners. If anybody's in that San Francisco area and does have a space or knows somebody's space, please reach out to us and we'll pass on your information to Mark because hunters helping hunters, there's nothing bad about that. But Mark,
Yeah.
we appreciate you coming up and talking to you. We're going to get one of our camp dads and actually a camp kid coming up here next. So we'll ring for them and get them up here. But we appreciate all your help today.
Pleasure, Mark.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
guys.
it's been awesome. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we got exciting news over at CWA. We're starting another podcast called Two Ducks in a Pod. This podcast is going to be about everything California duck hunting. We're going to have refuge managers on. We're going to have California hunters on. Myself and Jeff are going to talk about how CWA properties are doing. And we're going to launch every single Thursday starting on October 17th. So October 17th, we're launching the first episode. Every week after that, we're going to bring out, like I said, refuge managers, duck hunters across the state, people that hunt refuges, people that hunt private, to talk about what they're seeing and what is going on in California.
So at our camps, we do have a few camp dads, sometimes camp moms that'll volunteer and they'll stay with the boys in the bunkhouse overnight, act as kind of the authority figures when we're not there. We do sleep on site in a different building. So the dads will sleep in the bunkhouse in a separate room from the boys and keep them kind of controlled. So
And everyone on facilities is fully background checked,
Yep.
live scan, etc. We don't just allow anyone
No,
to just
nobody
show
willy-nilly
up
can
and start
show
helping
up.
out. But do want to reiterate, all of CWA staff's fully trained and certified, and NRA, range safety, archery instructors, hunter ed
AD,
instructors.
CPR.
So a lot of the boxes checked on that stuff, and we have a ever-growing staff and their capabilities, and everyone we're rocking and rolling this summer.
yeah, this summer's been, I mean, it's crazy to think that this is the last camp. You know, stuff goes by. It's like, it feels like the first one. It's like,
Well, to start brushing duck blinds next week and doing tractor work
Yeah.
in the end of July is like,
don't remind me.
we're already here. Just putting in the decoy order. Like,
Yeah.
it's time.
I mean, we're going to be having these podcasts soon talking about how the hunting is. We're going to try to do a weekly podcast for everyone to talk about different parts of the state and how they're shooting. It's going to be a goal of ours to get that out every week so you guys can get up-to-date reports from folks that are in the field, whether it be hunters that we know, ourselves, or wildlife managers, that sort of thing. We're going to try to put out a weekly kind of update podcast. So look for that in the future because it's in our pipeline. In addition to the normal Save It for the Blind podcast that will continue to come out with different guests every week on Monday. We'll continue to put these out.
Are you pumped up?
For duck season?
Yeah.
I need to get through brushing season first. I can't get pumped up until brushing season's done.
I don't know why. Like, I am very excited. For
Well, it was
whatever
like
reason.
last year we didn't have the burnout at the end. We've had seasons where, you know, and I'm sure everybody's had seasons like this. You get to the end in January and you're like, I am ready for it to be over. I didn't really have that this year.
Well, like last year, the hunting didn't get good till January, it seemed like. So maybe, I don't know if that was it or not.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the workload?
No, it wasn't too bad, but our brushing season takes a lot out of a lot of folks. It's hot, long days for multiple months, and then waterfowl season starts. But I think one of my favorite parts is like brushing season, and then we'll put water on the properties, and you'll go out there and it'll be like one day there's a couple ducks, and the next day there's like 100 ducks.
The icing for me is like, yeah, tractor work's done, everything's done, putting water on it. What's up, fellas? Come on in. gonna have you guys sit over here on this couch, just keep walking around. Is
Next guest just entered.
putting water on the property, and you go out there and you're like, oh, there's a couple hundred ducks. Literally the next morning you go out and it's just loaded.
Yeah, they just show up overnight. You'd be like, where'd they come from?
That's it.
Yeah, pick a microphone, any microphone. So you'll want to just keep it pointed towards you so we can hear you guys. And
Just kind of talk in the middle of it. There you go, Wesley.
did you catch any fish?
No.
Did anybody catch any fish?
No, but
Heard you guys caught
What?
some tulies.
one kid caught 2 crawfish.
With his lure?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He saw them in the water.
Okay.
And then he got him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing. The place where we have the kids fish is a slough that is fed from Montezuma Slough, which Montezuma Slough runs all the way out to the bay. The slough that they fish in, they can fish in Montezuma or they can fish in the other side, which is controlled by a water structure gate. And the fish will swim through the gate and kind of get trapped in there. So it's kind of like a pond. Well, our biologists last year had to let a lot of the water out to do some management, and the oxygen dissolved, and we had a big fish die off. And there were some big stripers in there that are no longer in there. There's still plenty of stripers, but we need to do some restocking or open the gates a little more often to get some more stripers in there.
Yeah, they're in there. It's just for
They're
whatever
in there.
reason,
They
just haven't been biting.
not this year.
We haven't been going at the ideal times of the
low
day
t-
either.
Yeah,
Was
it's
it a
pretty
high
hot
tide?
out there right now?
Yeah, low tide is when we went. It was a low tide earlier. I was driving around. It would have been better. We might be able to fish tomorrow at a low tide. We'll see what time it is.
Yeah.
You want to introduce our guest here?
Yes, we have Jake and Wesley. Jake's a camp dad, and Wesley's our camper here at Camp Sprig. What have you guys thought so far about the camp? Were you guys nervous about coming? What about you, Wesley? Were you nervous about coming or were you excited?
No, I was super excited.
Yeah.
It was super fun today.
Have you been to a camp like this before?
No.
No.
Yeah.
You've been to
no.
like other camps or just like first camp?
I've been to other camps, but
Nothing like a outdoor
yeah.
shooting,
yeah.
fishing, all
Yeah, and
learning
I,
your hunter ed. Because do you have your hunter ed already or do you not?
I'm not sure.
You do not.
Dad
No.
does he?
No, he does not have his hunter.
Okay, so you'll be taking the test for real tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Good.
So if you pass, what are you most excited to go hunting after?
Maybe some deer or elk.
There
I
you
like
go.
that.
I'm
Big
all for
game.
that.
So Carson's your man over here.
Yeah.
He's the big game
Headed
guy.
to Colorado in a few months.
Oh, nice.
Go hunt
that
some
sounds
elk.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jake, I'll turn it to you. I mean, how'd you guys find the camp? It sounded like you grew up kind of hunting, kind of went in and out of it,
Yeah.
and now we're kind of full circle with your son, bringing him to camp, and
Yeah.
hopefully
So,
kind of starting that hunting career.
you know, we're always looking to fill time during the summer. And my wife actually found this camp.
Okay.
And she's the one that brought it up to me. And I'm like, this sounds awesome. And I've talked to Wesley about it, and he was super excited. And talked to a couple of friends, and one of them came along, and the other one unfortunately couldn't make it. But yeah, we were like, let's do this, and just revisit some of the things I learned growing up at his age. You know, I grew up in rural Indiana, and my backyard was 200 acres, about 120 of it was tillable, 80 acres was hardwoods, with some few pines mixed in. So
Perfect place for a kid to grow up.
right, yeah, that was my backyard. So my cousin lived on one side, and about a mile away I lived, and so we would just meet in the woods, and whether it's starting off with BB guns or sticks when we were really little, then we just graduated up to mostly deer hunting. I remember as a kid, every Thanksgiving, my uncles, we would go out in the morning, and the cousins would go, and my uncles would go. And when we were super little, we had sticks, and they had their shotguns, and we'd go squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting in the morning. And then in the afternoon on Thanksgiving, we'd have our Thanksgiving lunch or dinner. And, it just, every year you progress from a stick to a, to a BB gun or to a pellet gun to a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge. And then ultimately, that's in November. So we were whitetail hunting. And once we got older, we just kind of go out in the evening and just go whitetail hunting and around Christmas. So it was kind of, a lot of good memories with my uncles and, my brother, Mike, my older brother. Both my brothers about 7 or 8 years older than me. He's the one that really got me into hunting. He did a lot of deer hunting growing up, and so he took me along with him, kind of showed me the ropes.
And you moved out to California for a job, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Indiana. I went to DePaul University for environmental science in Chicago. So I lived in Chicago for about 9 years, and then we moved out here. So I was in the mosquito control business, mosquito and vector control, and I was working for a private company. And then moved out to California and was traveling all over the U.S. and a little bit of Mexico, just talking about different kind of mosquito-borne diseases: West Nile, St. Louis encephalitis, dengue, chikungunya, some of those viruses spread by mosquitoes. And then ultimately I switched from the private side to the public sector. And that's where I'm at now, is working for public sector in Placer County.
And then we kind of talked a little bit earlier, like coming out from Indiana, the hunting out here, intimidating, it's different. And especially coming from somebody that private was the game where you were from, you had your playground in your backyard, to now, where do you go?
It was so nice. Yeah. Coming over, I was a big archery hunter back in Indiana. And so I kind of switched. I bought myself a longbow, started building my wood arrows and teaching myself how, to shoot more primitive. And I joined a black powder club out here.
Sweet.
And, I still brought my muzzleloaders with me. And actually, Wesley won a black powder competition. He was the only entry. What were you, maybe 5 or 6? And he put some lead on the target.
Nice.
And walked away with the trophy.
That's
there
awesome,
you go.
man.
Yeah,
Do you guys still shoot them out here?
Every now and then.
Yeah.
It was the YOLO front loaders were over by the YOLO bypass.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That's like a lost art. One of our old hunter ed instructors that used to work for us, he had a muzzleloader, just a regular muzzleloader. And he would come out and demonstrate shooting it for the kids. And I don't own a muzzleloader, and Jeff doesn't shoot a muzzleloader. So we kind of lost that in camps. Like, we talk about it in hunter ed, but we can't give the hands-on like we used to be able to. It's probably something we should purchase and learn how to do.
I own a muzzleloader. I just am not
Proficient enough.
super confident in it. And I don't want to have to deep clean something every time I shoot it. Especially after camp. Like, if we shoot it on Sunday, it's like, by the time we get camp wrapped up, I don't want to be like, oh, it's 5:30. Oh, I need to go deep clean the muzzleloader and then get home.
That is an excellent point. They are tough to keep clean and take a lot of extra work.
But they are neat. It is a cool opportunity.
Cool. Well, I mean, if you're a big game hunter, the availability of tags, like other than archery, muzzleloader's the easiest thing. So if you're trying to get tags, you don't want to wait for rifle hunts, learn how to shoot a muzzleloader. And in California, knock on wood, but we can still order them over the internet, in store, take them home that day. They don't count them as a normal firearm. You don't have to go through the background check. So it's not a bad idea.
If I get drawn for one of those tags, I will become a muzzleloader hunter.
Start hunting other states with your muzzleloader.
I'll get into it, but until that day happens, I think I'll stick to the rifle.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Wesley, what's been your favorite part of camp so far?
Oh, probably actually today.
Today?
Yeah.
Which part of today?
All of it was fun, but I would say probably my favorite part was doing the rifle shooting.
The rifle shooting.
Nice.
That's what.
Yeah.
See,
22s.
that's the right
Yeah.
answer, because I was the instructor for that, and that's the
That is
best
true.
station.
Wow. I'll give that one too. What was your favorite? Did you shoot the lever action or the semi-auto?
The set.
You were shooting the
semi-auto.
semi with the scope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Did you-
semi-auto
Did you
with
shoot an
the
open sight one, or did you just shoot the scope?
scope. I just shot the scope.
So,
Yeah.
Are you more of a bust in the clays type of guy, or you like shooting the paper that was out there?
Or were you one of the ones that was shooting the metal post?
Yeah, I was
Oh, the
shooting the metal
ding,
post.
Yeah, the one that flips around to
Yeah.
either side. Yeah.
But
That's a good one.
I was mainly into shooting the grenade.
Oh yeah, the grenade on the ground. Yeah, we have a little
I forgot about that
hard
one.
rubber grenade
Yeah.
that the kids can shoot, and it kind of bounces around on the ground. But today, all the campers got to shoot archery, rifle, and shotgun for the first time. And then tomorrow we're going back out and we're doing the same thing, but we're keeping score.
Competition
Oh.
day.
So instead of shooting the grenade or the metal target, we're gonna have, normal score paper targets, and we're gonna shoot to see who can get the highest scores. So
With the gun of our choice? Or?
whatever you want.
Yep.
You can go with the same gun you shot today. You can totally switch it up. It is up to you.
Whatever your preference is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can pick whichever one you want. How'd you do at shotgun?
I did pretty good.
Yeah.
I think out of like the couple that I got out of like the 20 that we did, maybe like 7.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Were you
think
shooting
out of
the,
10, 3
the
out of
20,
10, 4 out
the
of
12? Where were you shooting?
I was shooting a 20 gauge.
Okay.
Nice. Have you shot
Yeah.
a shotgun before today?
Yes.
Good.
Did anybody shoot the 12 today? Anybody
We did.
muscle up?
Yeah, we had a few kids. And
Did it beat them up?
No. One of our campers came last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was on it. There wasn't much left on the clays. There was straight powder. Yeah,
Wow.
It was dusting
Yeah.
him. And it was good. Nick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, a couple other kids though. Yeah, this camp we have, I would say, most of the students are that 11, 12, 13, 14 range. You know,
Yeah.
We do have some youngers in the 10, but for the most part, we're on that upper strength and tallness of kids and all that. So,
Definitely.
but
Jake,
yeah.
I know you had an experience in a tree stand that we had talked about earlier, and I'm taking a shot in the dark here, but probably one of the reasons why you're getting Wes into like proper hunter ed and kind of prevent that stuff. You want to talk about what happened to you?
So,
Because it's an interesting story. Because I've heard of stuff happening, but I've never met somebody that it's happened
Yeah.
to.
And
So
by the way, it's when you tell that story, like everyone's listening, that'll stick with all those students for a long time. So thank you for telling me that. I know it was probably pretty hard going back and remembering all that stuff that
Yeah.
happened. So just want to say thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and I enjoy telling this story. Just to rewind a little bit, growing up, I was grandfathered in Indiana, and I didn't need to take hunter's ed.
Oh, really?
So I kind of just learned it on the fly, by myself, but a lot of my uncles, my dad, my brothers, just teach me the ropes along the way. But there's a few things, even going through this course or when I took the California's hunter's ed, that would have been helpful this particular day. So when I was talking to the kids earlier, I pointed that out. But so I just woke up. I skipped class in college. I said, I'm going to head out to the woods, go archery hunting, and just left and didn't leave a note. Went out to the woods, climbed my tree stand, and this one of the highest tree stands on the property is about 19 feet at the base of the tree stand. And I don't know why we had a tree stand that high, but
Metal or wood?
it was metal.
Okay.
Yeah, full metal.
Ladder stand or
Ladder.
climbing? Okay.
Yeah. And so I climbed the ladder, pulled my bow up, put the bow on the tree, and turned around. And someone had tried stealing this tree stand, and they cut the lock. But the tree was there for so long, the chain had grown into the tree.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing on it, and all of a sudden it was like a trap door. And it was just out of nowhere. The bottom fell out from under me, and I'm falling. And I remember just curling up in a fetal position, and it seemed like it took forever to fall, which is super weird.
Yeah.
But I remember it was just slow motion, and then I just hit. And I was telling you earlier, when I hit, I instantly kind of bounced and did a 180 because I hit pretty hard at 19 feet. And then I didn't yell. I was like, I can't scare away the deer.
They were long gone by then.
And then I was like, what am I talking about? And then I just yelled super loud due to the pain. And then that's when I noticed my legs weren't quite working.
That's got to be a
I
scary
was
feeling.
like, oh my goodness, I have a back injury. Am I paralyzed? All this stuff is flying through your head. So I army crawled to the ladder and pull myself up. And, luckily things start working fairly quickly. I think it was more just in shock, but I knew I was injured.
Yeah.
And checked myself.
Was
no
there any blood or anything?
No
in this
blood.
All internal.
Yeah, all internal. Lots of pain, but I didn't feel like anything was seriously wrong. I knew something was broken probably, but I could walk, I could breathe fine, and so had a couple decisions of making it the short path straight to my vehicle, which was parked in the middle of the woods. No one would have seen me out there, or take the long way, which there's a cut bean field that maybe if I didn't make it, say my back did go out, that someone might be able to see the quarter of a mile from the road to me dressed in all camo waving from the ground. But I went straight to the woods, got in my vehicle, and funny thing is I still just kind of played it off. I drove to my cousin's house and I was like, hey, I fell out of the tree stand. My bow's still up in the tree. Can you go get it for me?
Yeah, the priorities at this point.
Right. Wanted to make sure my equipment was safe.
How far did you drive from the deer place to your cousin's
Oh,
house?
it was maybe a quarter of a mile.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not full.
But you're able to walk to the truck and
Yeah,
all
I
that? Okay.
walked to the truck. I couldn't sit up like this. I had to lay the seat all the way back, almost flat, and drive, with my hands out in front of me. But went to the hospital, got some X-rays. They said my L2, 3, 4, and 5 was fractured. Luckily, they were all clean fractures, so it wasn't directly the spine, but those little wings that come off the edge of the spine. They were all clean fractures all the way through, and there's enough muscle back there that they just held them in place.
Wow.
And so I didn't need a cast. I didn't need surgery. Just
They just let it heal back
Just
to-
let it heal. And
But
so,
you said you still feel it today.
yeah. So unfortunately, there's some nerve damage, some sciatica, and things that come with it, come back and off. But it's just something I live with.
Yeah.
Whether that made me who I am or not, a better person. I just take it and.
Yeah.
Not sad it happened. I wish it didn't happen, but it's just one of those things that, hey, I feel lucky to be here. That's a long fall
Yeah.
in a scary situation. And part of it was just me not being educated on some of those things that could have been safe for me to not be in that scenario. And that's why I'm here really today and getting this guy into it to make
Yeah.
sure that he doesn't have the same experience, that he feels safe and comfortable and confident when he walks out into that woods or gets into that boat or whatever he's doing, fishing or hunting, that he knows the first precautions to take. And
Yeah.
hats off to this whole group here and to the two of you. Your instruction here has been really great for these kids. And they are in tune, smiling, paying attention. Really impressed by
We appreciate
the two
it.
of you too.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
No, we appreciate you, like Jeff said, telling your story because these kids hear that kind of story and they're going to remember that.
Yeah.
They're going to think, okay, what do I remember? I remember shooting shotguns. I remember who got the 100% or who got closest. I remember this guy telling this story about falling out of a tree stand
Whenever
one
going
time.
to a tree stand, I'm going to put on my safety harness.
Yeah, just little stuff like that sticks with them.
Yeah. Did that curb your hunting after your?
That's a great
No,
question.
I about 2 weeks later. So that was early October. Shotgun in Indiana started
You
a
still
couple
had some
weeks
season
later.
left.
Yeah, so I had a tree stand mounted about 4 feet off the ground.
Oh my God.
And I was back out there just sitting, and I don't know if I got a deer or anything that year, but yeah, I was back out there, and I don't think it really curbed it.
That's good.
Honestly, just took it for what it was and moved on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not something like that's super prevalent out here as hunting in tree stands. So like when I went back and hunted in Wisconsin, that's all you do essentially. And it was different for me because like you climb up the ladder. There's not a whole lot of room when you're up there. You got, fluffy clothes on because it's cold. And you're like, okay, I'm going to be sitting down. It's cold. Your legs are numb. Your butt's numb. And you have nowhere to move. And when I have to get up to shoot, what's that look like?
Yeah.
So it is a little like, and hopefully like you have the safety bar that makes you like feel a little bit safer. Yeah. But like getting up in it, never having done it before, you're like, oh, okay, well, I got here. I'm
One step at a
yeah,
time.
and then you're like, haul all your stuff up,
Right.
But I could see how that happens. I know some folks that have fallen out and didn't have a harness on, but it's scary. That stuff always sticks with me.
But that was part of the part I loved about whitetail hunting is really just going out into the woods and finding that deer trail, looking at the tracks, looking at the deer signs, finding the scrapes and the rubs, and then imagining where that deer is actually moving through. Because this was 22 years ago. This was happened, and so I didn't have trail cams or anything. So
Yeah.
you look at the signs, and then you say, okay, you find that tree that you think the tree stand's going to go into, and then you put it in there. You clear out your shooting paths. And then when that deer walks down that path exactly how you imagine, and you pull back your bow and you release that arrow and you hit your mark, I mean, that's just a great feeling. There's sometimes you don't even shoot. Maybe it's just not the day you want to choose that deer for whatever reason. But it's great to put on that hard work and then see it all come to fruition.
Yeah.
And have it exactly how you planned. Sometimes it doesn't work how you planned, though.
Yeah,
Right.
I tell a lot of folks one of the reasons I love big game hunting is because I find that my success is directly correlated to the effort that I put in and how much time I spend. If you're duck hunting, you're in a blind, the ducks just may not be there that day. No matter what effort you put in, it's just not going to happen. Usually if you're big game hunting, you can kind of get that extra effort and like you'll find them or you'll become better. And it like that direct correlation is really what drives me when I go big game hunting is like, I want to be in better shape. I want to get better at, using my binoculars, whatever it is. And I find myself to be more successful because of that whole full circle thing of me wanting to complete it, not just get lucky, So
That's true.
talking about all this hunting, Wes, are you going to go in a tree stand when you're older?
Depends on what.
Are you gonna wear a safety harness if you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Good.
real question.
Yeah.
Good. Are you excited about the test tomorrow?
Yeah.
What do you think? How many questions are you going to think you're going to get right? There's 100 questions. They're all multiple choice.
Oh, it's 100? I thought it was 50.
100, dude. It's 100 questions.
Oh.
So it's 100 questions. It's all multiple choice, and you can get 80, and you still pass. What do you think you're going to get?
Hopefully 100.
Yeah, boy.
I like the
I like that.
attitude. That's the way. That's the way to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing okay in the reviews. You've been very engaged in class, so feeling confident?
Yeah.
Good. Good. Did you like banding the ducks today?
Oh
Yeah,
we
that
did have
was
the
fun.
ducks.
Yeah.
What'd you name your duck?
Well, I think it was Billy.
Billy. Yeah, we had the kids name all their ducks before they released them.
It's a good duck name.
Well, that's
So-
That's a good duck name.
Me and the other kid that I was with named it Billy, and then two other kids named him the other duck that they had Billy Jr.
So there's multiple Billies running around right
Yeah.
now, flapping around in our marsh.
Yeah.
We'll see how long they make it. Hopefully, they'll make it for a long time.
Yeah, hopefully. And
Yeah.
also saw my first nutria today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If folks didn't know that are listening,
Oh,
we do have
really?
nutria in California, and they are in the Suisun Marsh. And we had turned around for about 2 seconds, and we saw one swimming across our little channel, and it looked like a giant rat, which it is.
Yep. It is.
How long have they been here?
Out here, definitely in the last 5 years, let's say, but it seemed like when we had those big droughts and then, what was
The
that,
floods.
2020, and then it flooded like for a long time. We had all those king tides, and then it was like, seemed like that next summer they were all over.
Yeah,
the
we
same
talked to the
marsh.
biologists, and apparently they travel when the water gets high. So when all that water came up in the delta, they just spread out throughout the fingers. And so they really started finding them a bunch last year, and now they're everywhere out here, which
Yes.
is not a great thing.
No, so anywhere with permanent, what we call brood ponds to have place for all the ducklings and stuff for the summer, there can be, some of ours are kind of littered with them. And CDFW's out here, and they're monitoring them, and they're doing what they can. But yeah, unfortunately, these things just take off. Their birth rate is,
Just think of a rat.
it's just
mean,
insane.
multiplication.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's weird. It is a giant swimming rat. I mean,
Yeah.
20-pound swimming rat.
So
It's
like when
gross.
you leave here tomorrow, like if you look out on the sides of like the tule patches and stuff, you'll see a bunch of like tules just flat floating on the ground. It's them like making a mat to go up and like eat and all that. So
I'll have to
you'll
look for
see them
that.
kind of periodically throughout the marsh. So
Yeah, it's interesting, and they're working their best to get it under control.
yeah.
But do you have anything else for Mr. Mark, Mr. Wesley over here?
No, man. I just want to say thank you guys for coming on, and Jake, appreciate you coming on here and just being here to help throughout the weekend. The camp dads. We usually have 3 camp dads or moms helping us throughout the weekend, and it just helps us a lot. Just manage everything, cooking, cleaning, all that.
Well, I am super glad to be here. I graciously am happy that you guys, let me come along. And it's just so great to see these kids walk up to these archery and shotgun and rifle stations today. Some of them a little nervous, but when they hit their mark and they turn around and that smile's on their face and that confidence is built,
Yeah.
thanks to you guys and your crew. I think for me, that was great to see my son be able to have that same reaction when he dusted that clay pigeon today.
Yeah,
So
good.
No, that was all worth it. All the extra work that helping out and feeding these kids. So it's
We
been great.
appreciate it immensely.
Wesley, well, good luck on the test tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will see you.
I hope you get 100%.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I want that free gun.
Yeah.
It's coming your way.
Right on,
We will
guys.
see you guys in a little bit. I think we're gonna send. You want to send Garrett up here?
Yeah.
All right, we'll send our next person up. You guys are more than free to go down.
Thank you,
I don't
guys.
know if they're still
Appreciate it.
fishing or
Might
going
be
siesta,
it might
but
be
you-
a siesta time. So time to
probably head to the bunkhouse.
time to take
All
a
right,
shower.
thank you. Yeah.
Take a little rest.
That was
I'm
good.
a big improv guy.
You just you give him a topic and you just let him roll with it.
Yeah.
You throw some lines in his face and tell him to repeat it. It's not happening.
Well, it takes me a couple takes. I just keep rolling through it. I get it.
Oh yeah, you should see him when he messes up. Okay, and I'll start over. Then he
just
hits the
keep
same
going.
spot.
Yeah.
It's great.
Then I
fun.
get in the background.
Hey, you were in the
You're in the
background of a
shot.
shot today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll clip you out.
You're good,
Yeah.
Garrett. So Garrett Gracie's here. He is kind of a do-all employee for us now, working camps, running tractors, running our hunt program.
The listeners have probably seen him before. If you've seen a dude that's like 6'4", 6'5", in the morning at Sanborn or Butte Creek,
Yep.
that is Garrett Gracie.
Garrett done deer hunts, turkey hunts, dove hunts, done it all. But Garrett, your family is not new to our hunt program.
No.
We met you when I think you were probably
Yeah, when
9.
did you?
Yeah.
Is that young?
Yeah.
At
Probably
what
so.
hunt? Was it Esquimalt?
I think so. Yeah. Rancho
I've-
Esquimalt.
Yeah.
It was probably what are you now? 18?
19.
19? So,
Yeah.
so it was before it was even before my time. It would have been you.
That's when I was going to school. No, I'd have been out of school. But I was like doing the Rancho Esquimalt, staying there. Like
yeah, the overnight.
the kids would
family
come
hunts.
Friday night.
Yeah.
We would do a big educational portion. Everyone would stay in the cabin.
Yeah.
Breakfast, donuts, all that stuff in the morning. Take them out to go hunt the rice and take pictures and see you later. But
Yeah.
yeah, what I always notice is you guys are always very polite,
Yeah.
easy to talk to, but like you just tell like the whole family was like loved every minute of hunting the outdoors, like because there's some 9-year-olds like not that they don't like being there, but
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit of a pull, you know, but like you were just like loving every minute of
Yeah.
the experience, which is cool to see as an adult, you know, to see a kid that's super into hunting.
Yeah.
But
I think I got my hunting license when I was 7, about to turn 8.
And you took the traditional class
Yep.
in
10 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I barely passed it, but still passed it
I did the same
nonetheless.
thing.
And like next week was opener of dove. Remember my dad taking me up to Susanville in the desert. And
you guys went from your house to all the way to Susanville to
Yeah.
dove hunt?
yeah,
Long
They
time.
drove to
And,
Wyoming to turkey hunt.
yeah,
Well, that's true.
yeah. Didn't shoot one, but got close. Yeah, I just remember being so excited, and I was shooting a little 410. I don't think I got anything, but I was having a blast the whole time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just, my dad always tried to give me the most opportunities, get me out in
Yeah.
the field, and it just stuck with me, and now it's my passion. So
I'm pretty sure I probably met you as well as your family. I'm guessing the first year I worked for CWA when we had
Butte Creek.
Well, it probably was because
Yeah.
you were the kid that wouldn't shoot the snow geese on the junior hunt, and you came back in because I was watching your blind. You're like, yeah, I don't want to shoot the snow geese. I'm like, who is this like 10-year-old kid not shooting?
We have a picture of him in the Butte Creek Island Ranch first year booklet. Yeah. It's him with a banded pintail, like just hanging
That was
out.
the same hunt.
yeah.
That was the exact same hunt. It was youth weekend, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so.
It was January. It was later in the season.
Ripping north wind. I remember the
Butte
snows.
Creek, you guys were in blind
One.
one, yeah,
right?
which
Yeah.
never shoots that great, and
No.
you guys crushed.
Yeah, the snow's all day, just going over at 40, but it was blowing like 20, 25 out of the north. It was just, we were just wasting shells. We just
Yeah.
stopped shooting at them, but I think we had a few.
Yeah, I
remember
remember that
was-
day. I was working that hunt. So, like I said,
Yeah.
I met you then, and so
Garrett obviously hunts. His brother, who is 2 years younger than him, 2 or 3?
3.
3 years younger than him, hunts. His dad hunts, and his mom hunts. So in the hunt program, you are allowed to apply once per person, but for a family such as theirs, they technically have 4 applications in, one for each person. So they put in a lot of applications and were able to be successful in their draws. And over the years, we kind of developed a relationship. And then 2.5 years ago, out of the blue,
Well, not out of the blue. We had a job opening.
we had a job opening.
Our hunt program text.
I
which
got
we're
an
hiring
email,
now.
which we actually looked at yesterday, sent from Garrett's dad, Rich, that said, hey, Garrett is turning 18 September 2nd, the day after dove season. Is it okay if he sends in his resume? And like I said, I've known Garrett and his family at this point now for about 6 years. And I was like, heck yeah. Well, first off, I reached out to Jeff and I said, can we hire somebody that's just turning 18? I didn't know if it had to be 21. Jeff said, yes, send off the resume. So sent the resume.
Also, he's going to Tenanchico State. So just
Tenanchico State,
graduated
go
high
Wildcats.
school. Yep. Oh, yeah. I did. All 3 of us.
All 3 of us.
Hey, Wildcats. There we go.
So we
time.
interview him at Grizzly Ranch during
that
summer
room.
camps. Why were we here?
It was in between the.
It was hot. It was
It
summer.
had to have been in between the summer camp. Anyways, but it was in the ed room. We interviewed down here because it was closer to everybody.
Yeah, and he walked in and he was shy and timid, but having known him for such a long time, we kind of saw the diamond in the rough that was walking in.
Yeah.
And we are now 2.5 years in of you working for us consistently, like Jeff said, at camps, running hunts in between school. And it's just another one of those stories of folks starting in the hunt program and now working for us. And we are more than happy to hire Garrett as soon as he gets out of college.
Yeah, there was more people like you, Garrett. Always on time, punctual. You do everything that's asked of you, and I never have to worry about you not doing your work. So appreciate that. But I know when you first started, it was hunt program stuff, and we're like, hey, what about working the youth camps? And you're like, yeah, I can do that. What's been your experience with, kind of being that mentor for young kids that were kind of like yourself, wanting to get into hunting? How has that been? And have you liked it? Do you prefer it? And kind of the things that you went through there.
Yeah, it's been a good time. It's cool to look back. It's kind of like looking at your younger self.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
good way to put it.
Teaching them all the knowledge that I've gained throughout the years, and it's cool to see them take in the info and put that out into the field and become successful hunters. It's an awesome thing to see. I spend most of my time on a tractor or something, but
Nowadays, yeah.
this is a good getaway, and it's super awesome to see the kids
good
learn.
break in between tractor time before
Yeah.
brushing season.
Yep.
I remember it was probably a month or two before we started camps, and you even said, you're like, I am so looking forward to camps. And it's
Yeah.
like, heck yeah, that's the spirit. We get to the end of it and it's like, all right, I'm ready for it to be over. But I guarantee you next year I'll have the same attitude as you probably was. Like, all right, let's do some camps. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, maybe-
it's been a good camp
Year.
summer.
Yeah.
I mean, fun kids. We've had some repeat campers, which is always fun to see. But overall, everything's gone smoothly, and just it is fun. I mean, I have kids. You guys will be there one day, and it's still fun to come out on the weekends and talk to these kids that have never had that experience. And I think you do see yourself in that kid, because I was all into duck hunting when I was little and always wanted to learn about ducks, talk about ducks, etc. Even though I didn't hunt a whole lot, when I was 10 years old or 11, but I wanted to. That's all I wanted to do. But I think that's why the camps are so cool, because you could really help that kid flourish in their passion. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But
what's been your favorite part about working for CWA?
Ooh.
Be careful here.
Yeah. I just like, going to all the different properties and doing work, and, I'm trying to make each property a little better. It's super rewarding.
Seeing your work kind of flourish when the ducks show up.
Yeah. Last season was a little rough on the duck numbers, but I think it was like that everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like seeing all the different properties and working on them.
What's been your least favorite part?
Probably Russian blinds.
I think that'd be everybody's least favorite part. I would probably agree with you.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's pretty tiring pretty quick.
It's tiring. It's hot. It's
wasps
manual labor. Plenty of wasps. I don't think I've gone in 7 years a pre-brushing season without sticking my hand into a wasp nest that has formed in one of those blinds and getting
some gloves
stung.
on, man.
I'd risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah.
I think I've only been stung like once.
Get back out in the
Twice.
field. Join us.
I still am out there once in a while.
You
Not
do.
as much as back in the day.
Well, shoot, the first blinds we used to have at Sanborn, we didn't cap the ends of the metal, the
foam.
railings,
Yeah.
and those wasps used to get in there thick, and then we foamed them after a year once we realized they were coming in there during the summers.
Yeah.
That was bad. But I've stuck my hand into a couple clumps of tules that we used to brush to go in and cut an old zip tie to place new ones, and my hand ended up in the wrong spot, and out came my hand with multiple wasps on it. So it's just part of the job.
Yeah.
You take it in stride.
Yeah. I haven't been stung yet, actually, but
What?
yeah, pretty close. I normally got zip ties in one hand and a can of pea
Wasp
spray
in the other.
Yeah. But,
I found if you come up to those blinds, you just beat it with a shovel or something.
Yeah.
If they're in there, you can kind of see where they're coming out of and then work your way around it. Sometimes I don't think very smart and I act before I think and just go straight to it and it doesn't end up well.
Yeah. I think me and Sebastian last year spent like half a day just spraying blind 7. They were just
Over at Sanborn.
funneling out of the bass grass there, and we were shooting them out of the air with the spray and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The negatives about, I think a lot of people see our job. Oh, you go duck hunting all the time and this, that. It's
We
like,
don't go duck
Yeah,
hunting.
we don't go duck hunting. 2, for 2.5, 3 months out of the year, we are brushing blinds that other people get to hunt. Like, it's not all, we get to hunt plenty and we get to do very, very cool things, but it is far from glory all the time. So we get that sometimes, and it's like, you want to come brush for a summer with us? By all means do it, because it is not glory.
But it is cool. Like, there's some craftsmanship to it, and there's a process to it. And when you got to dial down, you're like, man, that thing looks good.
You hop into that blind and somebody's on the outside and they take a picture and you can't see that person in there. It's like, all right, that's a good looking blind.
Yeah. Wish we could hunt them. But,
And then you get the person on opening day and they go, there's just too much brush on this blind.
I love it. Like, not love it. I shouldn't say that, but like, it is early in the season, and even though like there's markers, like, where's the blind at?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, here's the door. Like, oh my goodness. And then you walk up. This is awesome. You're like, yep, we did it right.
Yeah. I got a couple calls last opening day, and they're like, how do you flip the lid on this blind? I'm like, there's no lid.
That's just tall cover.
Yeah.
And for folks listening, the reason we brush them so thick and so tall is because we have people that come out and hunt multiple days a week throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
And to keep the blind looking good from start to finish, we have to start thick. And we do go out mid-season and retouch them up. But if we don't start with that thick, brushy layer to begin with, then by the end of it, you will be sticking out like a sore thumb no matter how much we went and tried to rebrush it.
And we tell people, like, knock it down if you have to.
Make a shooting lane.
Yeah, we'll go back and fix it. That's part of our jobs. Yeah, but I would rather have a blind that's a little too brushy than metal showing.
Yeah, I'll take that complaint over the underbrushed at that point, because then it's lack of effort.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, when we have like pit blinds and we have flooding issues and things like that, I mean, sometimes the islands get really beat up on those types of blinds. There's not much we can do about it there, but we try our best to bring some more material out and stuff like that. But yeah, that's always a fun part of the job.
Reeling back to camp, what's your favorite part of camp as somebody who's out here? Is it the chefing up the bacon in the morning?
Yeah.
We'll have to say
Yeah,
the best bacon in the land over here.
The amount of compliments that you have received this year on the bacon has been astronomical compared to last year.
I've got the bacon dialed.
Yeah. So Saturday's breakfast is bacon and pancakes, and I hop on the griddle for the pancakes, and Garrett gets on the bacon griddle, and we go to town.
Yeah.
It's a production.
If CWA doesn't work out, I mean, IHOP, I mean, they got their folks right here. I'm telling you that much.
Yeah. We could barely keep up this morning. They were.
The kids, it was strange. Yesterday, the kids, when they show up, they have pizza for Friday night. They ate like they were mice. They barely touched the pizza.
They had like 2 full pizzas left.
This morning, they ate like they all were 300 pounds and 6'5". We could not keep up with the mouths this morning. The amount of pancakes and bacon we were slinging.
They were ready early and outside, ready to eat. Like, it wasn't no stragglers. Like, everyone was out there ready to roll.
They started to form a line. I haven't even got the first pancake done. I said, go sit down. I said, you're going to be here a while.
I went in to get the bacon, and they were all up. They were grabbing the bacon for me.
Eating it raw.
Yeah.
No, they ate a bunch of lunch, too. It's funny because, you know, all the different groups we get, some will eat a lot, some won't eat. And after yesterday, I thought, this group isn't going to eat any food. Now I think they're going to eat everything. I think they just had some nerves or something.
I think so, too.
They're kind of figuring it out, and they're like, I don't want to eat too much, but now everybody's comfortable, and they are hammering the food.
Yep.
Which is good. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Yep. So your favorite part is the cooking of the bacon, huh? Oh, boy.
It's a great thing to wake up to. We play some little country music. It's slow in the morning, nice and cool.
Some good vibes out there.
Great vibes.
Great camp vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Cup
just
of hot cocoa.
cup of hot cocoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It is great times. Well, Mr. Jeff, you have anything else for us today?
No, it's been fun. Wrapping up the summer with our Camp Sprig events. I've had a bunch of great campers, great helpers, hunter instructors.
So to everybody that came out and helped, if you're listening to this, thank you immensely.
Great staff members. Garrett, you're amazing. Chandler's new to the team. We're very excited for her to be part of the team as well. She's doing great and running the camp this weekend by herself.
Flawless.
She's the chief in charge. So we're handing over the torch to her. So that's been kind of fun to kind of see her progress as well. So
yeah. Well, we appreciate it, Garrett. As always, we appreciate your work and your podcast debut. May not be the last time we see you on this podcast.
We appreciate you, Garrett.
Yeah,
we really do, man.
We do.
So
I appreciate you guys. You guys are good bosses to work for.
That's good to hear.
Darn good answer.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Save It for the Blind podcast. You can find our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.